My name's Sadhana. I'm the trainer at Gagnon's Pet Resort in Colchester. I also own my own company called Bark and Beyond. And today what we're doing is we're working with Felix here with boundaries, social cues, things like that. I've been here for a little bit, and from what I can tell with him, he really just seems to be a big puppy that lacks correction and lacks the ability to understand what he can and can't put his mouth on. And so when he's interacting with us, he sort of views us like a toy, like a plaything. So when he's jumping, when he's mouthing and things like that, he's really trying to play just in a rude way for us. But if he were with another dog, all that mouthiness and rough and tumble would really be normal and oftentimes appropriate. So the first thing we're gonna do is, I know that when he comes out, he usually jumps. And I know that a lot of people, will turn their backs or kind of walk away, which is fine, whatever works for that individual person. But for a dog that's really persistent, big, or kind of extra pushy when it comes to the jumping, ideally, I like to address that behavior using what I call fight signals. And there's 4 fight signals. There's eye contact, squaring up your body, invasion of space, and then making yourself appear larger, which is often like posturing, leaned over, things like that. Now, these fight signals are what you would normally want to respect and avoid for a dog you do not know, but for a dog that's able to take these fight signals and recognize them for what they are for an older dog or a more dominant dog who would use these fight signals to correct a rowdy dog or a puppy, right? A dog that doesn't know or understand social cues. So for him, that's basically what we're teaching him. We're teaching him that jumping isn't okay. My personal space is my personal space. And we're also teaching him, I know that he's a little bit weird with things put around his neck, so we're going to be practicing looping him up with a slip lead and unlooping him with a slip lead. The biggest thing for him is association. He needs to associate whatever correction I give him, that's a boundary, that is a no, and he needs to associate with anything that we want happening to him that he might be wary or afraid of as still a positive thing, that he's okay, right? That it's not anything that's going to hurt him or anything that he has to be afraid of, because his association with the collar, his association with looping something around his neck, he doesn't really have a positive association with it, and he doesn't really have exposure to that, and that's why I think that he is reacting the way he does when it comes to putting things on him. That's why he'll jump up and bite, he'll jump up and grab it, because in order to avoid something happening, he knows that when he pushes his boundaries like that, he's ultimately going to win. He's going to get what he wants. And because he views everything as a plaything, that also includes a slip lead. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take him out, and I'm just going to see if he jumps first. If he jumps, I'm going to correct him until he's exhibiting the appropriate behavior, which in this case is not jumping or sitting or even just walking away. I'm going to praise that, and when I'm using fight signals to correct him and redirect him, I'm saying nothing. And the reason why is because all attention is attention. Even negative attention is attention. So if he's jumping on me, if I'm sitting, or if I'm standing, or if anything, and he's invading my space, and I'm like, no, or I'm using my hands to push him away or push him down, right? All of that is physical attention, and it's affirmation that what he's doing, he gets this reward for. And this reward is reflective in the fact that he uses his mouth for everything else, because he's just a mouthy dog, right? Make sense?
Makes sense.
Okay. Are you ready for me to take them?
Yes,
right.
I am.
Do it. Do it, Felix. Good boy. You want me to leave it open or closed?
Doesn't matter, whatever you want.
Leave it open. Good boy. So he's not jumping, which is great. Like I said, we already had him out. Good boy! We had him out for a while before. So when we had him out, he was pretty rowdy. He had just met me. So I've been with him for over an hour now. So he's pretty much used to me. But essentially what you want to do is, this is a standard 6-foot slip lead. Pretty simple. And so when you have it in the slip mode, right, now because he's fight signal sensitive. And that means that when I'm exhibiting fight signals, he's more likely to respect space, yield space, kind of back off, right? So if I want something over him and I'm confronting him and I'm facing him and I have it like this is an invitation for him to kind of jump up, get it. It's kind of like a tease, right? Like when you have a cat toy and you're swinging the cat toy around, the cat's like doing this. That's essentially what this is. So the quicker you can do it, the better. But what he's been doing is he's been kind of like, instead of having the slip lead kind of sitting in place and allowing me to do it, oftentimes he'll do this. He'll kind of like avoid the situation, avoid the inevitable, and he'll walk away. So the simple solution to that is just to follow him, right? I'm not scolding him. I'm not yelling him. I'm not even calling his name. I'm just simply following. Yes, good. Good boy. I want to make sure that I reward with lots of praise, and I want to make sure that I'm rewarding with a toy or something that he associates with positivity. Some dogs won't care about a toy. You know, sometimes they'll get bored of a toy, so the toy won't always be a good enough sort of like reward, but I always make sure that I'm praising. So that slip lead going over him, that's positive. Good. Every second he walks on the slip lead is positive. I have a couple of other toys that I brought out just in case. That's a different one. Yes, good boy. Good boy. And so I want to associate whatever I'm doing that I know that he's normally uncomfortable with something positive. So if it's like a toy, good boy. Ready? You sit. And this mouthiness, that's him being like, I don't want this, right? And if that's the case, I'll wait him out. Because he knows that once he does that, if I stop and I let him get away with it, or I let him kind of establish that boundary with me, then I'm letting him dictate how this situation will go from here on out, right? So what I want to do is, good boy. Good job. Good. And also what I've done there is, because he's so orally fixated, I've just put something in his mouth to replace what he would normally have in his mouth, a hand, keys, lead, you know, something like that, right? Good boy. Good job. And earlier on today, I know we started this video after, but earlier today, I had him on my slip lead and I was just walking him around. And then I sat down with him, and you know, he sat down next to me and still made him respect my space, wasn't allowing him to jump on me, wasn't allowing him to mouth anything that he wasn't supposed to have, right? You want him to experience positivity, but also establish that hard boundary line with him. He needs just more practice with the slip lead. He needs, every time you need him to go from point A to point B, there is no question. There's no like, well, you know, we'll try to coax him. Nope, it's, guess what? This is going on in any way, shape, or form. We're gonna go into the run. The other option is you can go into the run on your own, right? And that's also an option for him. Whether he figures that out or not right now, that's gonna take time. He knows that when I put the slip lead on him, he's going to go into that run. What'll start to happen is self-redirection. So instead of me putting it on him, if that's really what he doesn't want, but he knows what the end game is, what he might do is he might be like, oh, instead of putting that on, I don't want that on, but I know where you're gonna bring me anyway. So let me just save you the trouble and go into the kennel run. The more practice you have with it, the better. Good boy! Good job! Hey, toy! What a good boy! Ready? Come on. Good boy! Also, is he allowed to bring the toy into, he's allowed to bring that one?
He'll probably just kill it, but that's fine.
He'll probably just destroy it.
Yeah, probably.
You want to bring it? Let's go! Good boy! Yes! I'm excited! No, I know. Come on, let's go! Good boy! Yay! Ready? I was waiting for you to come right.
Yep, come in.
I'm gonna put this in his mouth. job. And you. Oh no, I want you to roll your toy away. There you go. Good boy, buddy. Good job. Good boy.
What?
Good job. Now my other question is, do you want him in the other side?
I do.
Okay. So do you want him just to be walked around to the other side?
You could, all right. So, you know, honestly, it's getting so cold at night now that's why I want him inside.
Okay.
You know.
So let's try this. He really likes that new toy. So let's try to associate some positivity with coming inside, because I know that we had talked about the fact that he might be afraid of the guillotine door.
Yeah.
So what I was doing before was I was sitting in his kennel run with him.
There he goes.
I was sitting in his kennel run with him, and with the guillotine door, I was associating the guillotine door with like food or hand feeding him. And he had his head pretty much like in here, and so he was kind of like through here, and I was like on their side, just like, yes, good job, feeding him and that sort of thing. And so he was able to kind of associate this area with at least like, oh, okay, like I'm good, I'm fine, like nothing bad is happening to me, right? And this right here, this is just him being stubborn, right? And if he doesn't want to come in, right, just from regular coaxing, well, okay, that's fine. Good boy. Ready? Good boy. And any positive interaction is a good reaction. So sometimes what I'll teach people too is I'll have like the slip lead here, and I'll put the toy through the slip lead and then pull the slip lead, so he at least still has something in his mouth. I'm sorry, I forget.
Yep, we're gonna bring him inside.
Okay.
It's gonna get loud. No, go this way.
Oh, this way. Sorry.
Go on the inside. Yeah, so that we can close the door. Just be careful. Something is slippery over there.
Oh yeah, right here.
It's like giant spit spot or something. Get your baby.
Get your baby. You want to get it? Do you want me to bring it for you? Get it. Boy.
I've got Santa.
I know you love the blue.
All right, so I'm gonna close this guillotine. All right, so hang on. Come on in. Close this guillotine.
Hard to hear.
Yeah.
So I apologize. Yeah.
In case you wanna have anything else left to say.
Oh, we're still rolling.
Yeah, we're still rolling.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah. So essentially, the assessment is that he's mouthy, right? He's. You can see it in his body language when I stand up, when I go to like put something over his head. He cowers, and he seems to be very head shy too, which is why when I did put it on him earlier on today, I sat with him, I pet him, touched his neck, did all that, right? Gave him lots of affection with it on, and then took it off, and then put it back on, and then took it off. So when you need him to go from point A to point B, he gets the slip lead on no matter what. If he goes to jump like he was starting to do when I went to go walk out of the kennel, those fight signals are going to come in handy, right? You're just kind of pushing him back with your body and picking up your knee so he can't jump onto you. Plenty of dogs that at my work and that I've worked with, right, some of them, they kind of learn the hard way. They learn the same way another dog would teach them. Another dog, if a dog was rude and jumping in their face or snapping or being mouthy, that dog that's teaching that rude dog will oftentimes pin them, or they'll snap at them, sometimes put a puncture in their face, right? What we're doing is essentially the human equivalent of establishing our space and our boundaries with him. So if he's jumping at us, or if he's jumping in general, or he's being rude with his space, we're taking it back. We're commanding it. So as much as he's taking it like this, I'm picking up my knees and I'm taking my space back. Wherever I go with my personal bubble doesn't change size-wise. But if I move this way, that means that my personal bubble moves that way, and that means that his personal space shrinks, always. And that goes for every dog. A dog that thinks your space is their space, they won't care about the bubble. And so what I essentially did for a while before we started filming was I established that early on with him. And when he went to go jump up, I was immediately picked up my knee, and I just invaded space, made eye contact, and essentially challenged him, right? He was like, oh, okay. If he were a dog that had any intent of harm, he would meet that challenge. He would cross that space. But he's not. He's a dog that he's definitely like, oh, okay, I'm a big bully, I have all this weight. Usually I can toss it around and I get what I want, and everyone just kind of like bends to my will, until someone doesn't. And you can tell that when he's met with that challenge, when he's met with a more structure and a more kind of like leader type of being, he's like, oh, okay, this is what I need. And the whole time we were working with him too, I did notice that he kept kind of looking to me for like affirmation, like, is this okay? Is this okay? Is this all right? And that's what you want. That means the dog, A, respects you, and B, that means the dog is bonding with you in a very healthy way, where the hierarchy is here. So someone's here and he's here. And that's how it should be, because that's how the hierarchy is established in groups of dogs. So it makes sense that whoever is in charge, whoever controls the resources, space, attention, food, things like that, that is the person that's up here. Not necessarily alpha, because alpha doesn't apply interspecies. Alpha dogs can be alphas to each other. Even cats can be alphas to each other. But humans can't be alphas to dogs because we're not the same species. But we can be leaders, and we can still establish boundaries and be constructive in what it is that we want them to do, because boundaries at the end of the day are healthy. Dogs, it's important to remember that dogs are animals at the end of the day, and when you're dealing with animals, you have to almost forget that, you know, that we want to love on them, we want to squish them, we want to bond them. That is still important, but that instinctual drive that they have has to be addressed first. Before you can bond with them, before you can have a solid relationship with them, you want to establish yourself first. And then the rest is it'll just come with time. So as much as he didn't want to put the lead on, you know, I was like, okay, well, if you don't want to put the lead on, you're going to go to your bed and chew your toy. That's fine. I'm still going to come over. We're still going to put the lead on, and this is what's going to happen. Whether we go around the back and put him in his kennel, if we're leaving the kennel, the guillotine door open, or we bring him around and we just put him in, gave him his toy, you know, took the lead off. And the toy was just so he could have something in his mouth so he didn't redirect onto my hand. Like you saw the first time I did it without putting something in his mouth. He's like, immediately goes to like kind of like chew on your fingers or chew on the lead, because he's like, that's just his go-to. So we're changing his association with leads and anything around his neck with happy things like toys, maybe treats if he's motivated like that. But essentially, you get treats, you get toys, you get affection, you get all of these positive things every time this happens. But if you don't let it happen, or you don't want it to happen, you know, nothing is going to change. It's still happening. And if you notice that when he walked away, I wasn't like, no, I wasn't calling him back, I wasn't giving him commands. I was neutral because the action itself should be neutral. I don't want to say anything to him when I'm doing something that he's normally fearful of, because I don't want to put any emotion behind an action that shouldn't have any. Does that make sense?
Yep, that does.
Is there anything else?
I think we're good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.